Brace yourself. Get it passed up anytime now. Collect yourself. Things will never be the same in this sad world. Around a lot a bit, trying to make the pieces fit to a puzzle with a million missing pieces. When I'm feeling fine is when I discover that I'm afraid to blow my cover, and there's something very wrong with this. So sit back in your hole.
Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you today. I'm about to turn it over to our narratrix, Rat Maggot. Where's my text? We are continuing right where we... Oh, it's behind you. Right where we left off from Thomas Mallory's Le Morte d'Arthur, Book 1. Give me 1 second. I've got my spot, and so do you. So, Rat Maggot, take it away. And I'll get my, now 4 kings up with me right away. I'll be in the back of the line, so y'all just sort of line up in front of me. Rat Maggot, take it away.
Okay. Thus, at Candlemas, which is February 2nd, many more great lords came there to try and win the sword, but none did they prevail. And just as Arthur did at Christmas, he did at Candlemas, and easily pulled out the sword.
What's the matter with you?
Whereupon the barons were sorely aggrieved, and they put it off in another delay, till the high feast of Easter. And as Arthur did before, so did he accomplish the feat again at Easter.
This is a high quality production. Set designs, sound effects.
Yes, some of the great lords were indignant that Arthur should be king, and they postponed it. And still another delay until the feast of Pentecost. Then the Archbishop of Canterbury, upon Merlin's proposing, ordered the best knights that they could get, and the knights whom Uther Pendragon loved most and trusted most in his days, to be appointed as guardians. And these knights were placed around Arthur, such as Sir Bodwin of Britain, Sir Kay, Sir Ulfius, and Sir Brastias. All these, with many others, were always about Arthur, day and night till the feast of Pentecost. And at the feast of Pentecost, all manner of men attempted to pull out the sword.
Okay, Carlos, go for it. Loser. Loser.
But none did prevail, save Arthur, who pulled out the sword before all the lords and commoners who were there. Whereupon all the commoners cried out at once, "Everyone, say it with me now!" Come on, guys, please.
You got to start. You got to lead them, though.
We will have Arthur for our king. These people suck, so... Because we will all see that it is God's will that he shall be our king. And he who stands against it, we will slay him. No slide? Okay.
Oh, yeah, slide.
And with this, they all kneeled at once, both rich and poor, and they beseeched mercy of Arthur, because they had delayed him so long. And Arthur forgave them, and took the sword in both his hands, and offered it upon the altar where the archbishop prayed. And so, anon was the coronation. Anon was the coronation made.
Just real quick note, because you'll see this word a lot in the book. Anon is an old-fashioned way of saying right away.
And there was Arthur, sworn unto his lords and the commoners to be righteous king, to stand with true justice from thenceforth all the days of his life. Also then he made all lords who were subjects of the crown to come unto him and swear faithfully, as they were bound to do. And many complaints were made unto Sir Arthur of grievous wrongs that were done since the death of King Uther, whereby many lands were seized unjustly from lords, knights, ladies, and gentlemen, whereupon King Arthur caused these lands to be returned unto those who rightfully owned them. When this was done, the king had established all the countries about London. Then did he make Sir Kay steward of England, and Sir Bodwin of Britain was constable. Sir Ulfius was made chamberlain, and Sir Brastius was made warden, to guard the north from Trent forwards, for it was, at the time, the stronghold of the king's enemies. But within a few years, King Arthur defeated all the north in Scotland, and all those who pledged allegiance to his adversaries. Also, a part of Wales rebelled against King Arthur, but he overcame them all, as he did any remaining opponents, through the undaunted prowess of himself and his knights of the Round Table. Then the king journeyed unto Wales and proclaimed that a great feast should be held at Pentecost after his coronation at the city of Caryon. Unto this feast came King Lot of Lothian and Orkney with 500 knights. Also there came to the feast King Uriens of Gore with 400 knights. Also there came to the feast King Nintrus of Garlet with 700 knights. Also there came to the feast the King of Scotland with 600 knights, and he was but a young man. Also there came to the feast a king who was called the King of with the 100 knights. And he and his men were quite well appointed and equipped. Also there came the King of Cardos with 500 knights.
Hold for just a second. So of these knights on Helica, stand up, or kings on Helica, stand up for a second. On Helica's playing King Lot. She doesn't have to go up there. But King Lot of Lothian and Orkney is one to keep your eye on because he is married to Arthur's sister Morgause. I stumbled over the who was whose child yesterday, so thank you, King Lot. Arthur's has 3 sisters that have been named in the text: Morgause, Elaine, and Morgan Le Fay. They're half-sisters. They're the daughters of his mother, Igraine, and her rightful husband, the dead Duke of Tintagel. And Morgause is married to King Lot over here.
And King Arthur was glad of their coming, for he believed that all the kings and knights had come from great love, and to do him honor at his feast. Therefore Arthur was well pleased, and he sent the king splendid presents. But the kings would not receive the presents, and rebuked the messengers shamefully, and said they had no joy in receiving gifts from the beardless boy of base blood. Instead, they sent Arthur word that they would accept none of his gifts, but that they had come to give him gifts of strokes of sharpened swords upon his neck and shoulders.
It's not a nice gift.
And for that reason they came here, and so they told the messengers plainly. For it was a great shame to them all to see such a boy rule over so noble a realm as the land was.
Notice that of these kings that are rebelling against Arthur, so Arthur's position is High King of Britain. Remember, that's not like an emperor. He's not the master of all of Britain. He's just the highest of the kings. He's similar to the role Agamemnon plays in the Iliad, if you've read the Iliad. And many of these British kings are rebelling against him, and one of them is King Lot, his brother-in-law. So there's trouble in the family already at this point.
With this answer, the messengers departed and told King Arthur what the kings had said, whereupon, by the advice of his barons, King Arthur betook himself to a strong tower with 500 good men. And all the aforementioned kings laid siege to the tower, but King Arthur was well provisioned.
So we should probably move to the front with the narratrix, and I'm going to need Merlin, and I'm going to need they.
And within 15 days, Merlin came into the city of Carleon and appeared among these kings. Then were all these kings exceedingly happy to see Merlin, and they asked him,
For what reason is that boy Arthur made your king?
Sirs, I shall tell you the reason, for he is King Uther Pendragon's son, born in wedlock, begotten on Igraine, the wife of the Duke of Tentacle.
Times, notice he's lying.
Then he is a bastard.
So notice Merlin's lying. He's just so he said he's the son of Uther and Igraine, no lie, born in wedlock.
Nice.
So he's so Merlin is. They don't know he's Uther's son, and Merlin's revealing that, and that much is true. But he's actively lying about whether Uther was married to Igraine when he was conceived.
Then he is a bastard.
Nay. Arthur was begotten more than 3 hours after the death of the Duke, and 13 days later King Uther wedded Igraine, and thereby do I prove that he is no bastard. Regardless of whoever says nay, Arthur shall be king of England and will overcome all his enemies, and before he dies he shall be the long-time king of all England, and will have under his obeisance Wales, Ireland, and Scotland, and more realms than I shall now relate.
Bless you. Some of the kings marveled at Merlin's words and believed that it would be as he said, and some of them laughed with him with scorn. King Lot and many others called him a wizard. But then did they reach an accord with Merlin that King Arthur should come out and speak with the kings. And assurances were made for King Arthur's safe passage to come and go. So Merlin went on to King Arthur and told him what he had arranged, and bade him to fear not. And Merlin said,
Come out boldly and speak with them, and spare them not, but answer them as their king and chieftain, for you shall overcome them all, whether they wish it or not.
Then King Arthur came out of his tower, and he wore, under his gown, a coat of chainmail. With him there went the Archbishop of Canterbury, Sir Bodwin of Britain, Sir Kay, and Sir Brastias. These were the men of greatest honor, who were with Arthur. And when they were met with opposition, there was no meekness, but stout words on both sides. And Arthur said again and again that he would make them bow to him if he lived. Whereupon the kings departed with wrath, but not before King Arthur bade them to keep well, and they bade King Arthur to keep well. So King Arthur returned to the tower and armed himself with all his knights.
What will you do? Okay. You would be better advised to withdraw, for you shall not prevail here, though you were 10 times as many.
Are we well advised to be afraid of a dream reader?
Said King Lot. With that, Merlin vanished away and appeared before King Arthur and bade him to set fiercely upon his foes. And in the meanwhile, 300 good men of the best that were with the kings defected unto Arthur, and that comforted him greatly.
Okay. Sir, do not fight with the sword that you got miraculously until you see the struggle goes badly. Then draw it out and do your best.
So forthwith King Arthur set upon his adversaries in their lodging, and Sir Bodwin and Sir Kay and Sir Brastias slew so many on the right hand and on the left hand that it was a marvel to behold. And always King Arthur upon horseback laid on with the sword, and did such wondrous feats of arms that many of the kings in his party had great joy in his deeds and hardiness. Then King Lot broke out on the backside, and the king with 100 knights and King Cratios fiercely assailed the King Arthur from behind. With that, King Arthur wheeled about his knights and smote them from the back and the front. And ever was King Arthur in foremost pressed of battle, till his horse was slain underneath him. Whereupon King Lot smote down King Arthur. But 4 of his knights rescued King Arthur and set him on horseback.
Somebody make horse noises.
Shoot.
Well, demonetized with my pants falling down. And fired.
Wait, where am I? Then King Arthur drew out his sword Excalibur and it was so bright in the eyes of his enemies that it gave off the light of 30 torches. And with this sword he set them back and slew many people. Then did the commoners of Carlion arise with clubs and staves, and they did slay many knights. At this the rebellious kings joined their knights who were still on the battlefield, and they had fled and departed. And Merlin came unto Arthur and counseled him to follow them no further.
So a couple quick notes, and we'll wrap up this lesson. First off, so Mallory has made a mistake here at the end. So there are two different stories of how Arthur gets his sword that go back hundreds of years before Mallory. Now, the stories don't match. That's not uncommon in legend. The best way to make sense of the stories is to just say, well, there's two different swords. Mallory does that, but then he screws up. He screws up by calling this sword Excalibur. The sword in the stone is not Excalibur. So, spoiler, he's going to get another sword later, and that sword is Excalibur. But here the best reading of Mallory just says that he was writing this by hand in 1485, and writing from prison, by the way. He was in prison at the time. He picked the wrong side. I believe, I'm about to make a fool of myself if I'm wrong, but I believe he picked the wrong side in the War of the Roses. So he's writing this in prison, and he just screwed up. Look how long the book is, that you'd screw up on a detail or two if you were writing it from prison, basically from memory of having read. Remember, this volume here of the Vulgate cycle is like volume 1 of 11 or 12. So anyway. Also, I think I pointed this out, but just a reminder so I don't have to keep pointing it out. We've heard the word England thrown around a lot in this reading, and by Mallory's time, that was the name of the country. In Arthur's time, that was not the name of the country, and if Arthur had found out that his country had been named the Land of the Angles, one of the 3 Germanic tribes that Arthur exists to destroy, he would be very unhappy. So it's just anachronistic, but we're going to have it all the way through. It'd be kind of like if I were, I teach history sometimes, so if I were teaching a lesson on the native people who lived here 5,000 years ago, I might call that lesson Ancient Florida. And you'd know what I was talking about, even though the people here would have had 5,000 years ago, would have had no idea what the word Florida was, because the name was given by the Spanish. It's the same kind of scenario with the name England. Okay, so Arthur's king, and in one paragraph, we leapt over his first few years as office. That's why I'm not doing. Of course, he didn't say anything today, but I'm not doing the teenage Arthur voice anymore. I only got to do it for like five lines because he's grown up. He's been king for a few years at this point, but we've got rebellion going on. Arthur got knocked off his horse by this scumbag over here, who's his own brother-in-law. No, the horse got killed, yeah, and then King Lot, his own brother-in-law, is still going at him. So, man, Thanksgiving dinner is going to be tough. That's anachronistic, too. They don't have... Why are you here, Benji? That's anachronistic, too. And the next lesson, we'll dive further into this war. I've titled the next lesson, A Clash of Kings. We're finishing mighty early unless you want me to just talk for another. You want me to talk for another 30 minutes?
No. 30.
Is Rhea saying yes? What's your question, Rhea?
How did Tom's salary get into prison?
Well, I should have a solid answer for that. You might have caught in the way in what I said that I'm going off of memory too, and I said I think he picked the wrong side in the War of the Roses. So let me have a better answer. Let me open tomorrow's class with a better answer than that. Also to redeem me on YouTube, because I probably just humiliated myself. Like, what if it was, I don't know, what if he stole a truck or something? Other questions?
No.
Yeah. I think Miles did great today. Thank you, Miles. All right, no, and thank you to our kings and knights who couldn't get the sword out of the stone. We couldn't have done this without them. That is all I need for you for today. Oh, and Rat Maggot, whatever. The rest of the time is yours. And Amanda Blanco, you did so great. You're the best, Amanda Blanco. Thank you. Couldn't have done without you. Yay, Amanda Blanco. And Regina, thank you, Regina. Just, being here, you brighten up the... I'm going to... Screw Lot. She killed my horse and beat me while I was down.
A bit, trying to make the pieces fit to a puzzle with a million missing pieces. When I'm feeling fine is when I discover that I'm afraid to blow my cover, and there's something very wrong with this. So sit back in your hole, or get back in your cave. If I'm going down, I'm taking someone with me.